This conference will now be recorded.
So we will again be having one more session, like before we start our main session where we'll be starting with the JavaScript and then we'll be moving to the Playwright. Before that, we'll have one more session to just let you people like how it is working, how in terms of Playwright it will be working. We'll do some kind of installation. We'll try to write one test cases using Playwright, and we'll see like how easy in terms of Playwright installation is, how easy in terms of writing the test case, and so on. So, um, so in terms of previous session where we had gone for the demo one, where we had seen like what is Playwright, what is the advantage of Playwright, course content that we'll be covering up for this JavaScript and Playwright course, what is the prerequisite to join the courses, what we'll gain after the completion of the courses. There were few of the questions and answers that we have covered in yesterday's session. We'll try. We'll start with some other session today, where we'll try to cover, as we have already covered, like the advantage of the Playwright. We'll again cover at the time of going for the real sessions. In the sense, like whenever we start our course, we'll again, once again, I'll try to cover all those things. We will also see whatever we will be trying to do in terms of today's session. We'll also see at the time of working with the Playwright in the real session as well. So for today's session, we will be working on some as how do we install the Playwright. First, like what is the prerequisite for Playwright installation. Second will be um, how do we install the Playwright. And third, we'll see with a basic test case, like how do we write the test case. How do we write the test case in? How do we write the test case in uh, Playwright? Okay, so these three things we'll try to cover up in today's session. And then from the next session, we'll basically be starting with the real courses where we'll be having. We'll start with the JavaScript. First, we'll cover up the JavaScript and then we'll move to the courses. Also, just I would request you people, like if anyone is new uh, uh, to the session today, please try to share your contact number and name so that we'll connect with you people for some kind of document sharing and some kind of important documents that we'll be sharing going forward as well. Uh, now, let's try to see, like as in terms of the sessions that we have covered up yesterday. So we had seen like what is the advantage that we have by using Playwright. What are different properties that Playwright is having? What are different advantages? It is also able to select APIs and so on that we had seen in the yesterday's session in detail. Now we'll see like how do we install Playwright and what is the requisite, like prerequisite to have in our system before starting with the Playwright. Okay. Also, I'd request you people to um, if you want to ask any kind of questions, please directly speak it out because I'll be working on some other screen. I'll be sharing some other screen, and I might not be able to see your message in terms of the message if you try to send it out for asking any kind of questions. So just a request, like if you have any kind of questions, stop me in between, and I'll be able to answer your questions. Okay. Um, So first thing, whenever we try to install or work with Playwright or work with any of the tools, let's say example, if you are going for Selenium and Java, there used to be some kind of requisite that your system should consist of. Example, you have to install Java in your system. Then you have to install an IDE, which is like integrated development environment, where we'll be writing the test case. That can be either Eclipse, IntelliJ, or Visual Studio Code. And then you will have to set the path of the Java home in your environment variable. And then again, you will be going to install Maven and so on in terms of Selenium. But in terms of Playwright, we have one single prerequisite that we need to have in our system is Node.js. So before installing Playwright, we need to have in our system, which is Node.js. So why do we require this Node.js is because this Playwright is basically built on top of Node.js itself. It is designed based on the Node.js. So whenever we have to work with JavaScript and TypeScript as a language, we basically have to have Node.js in our system installed. What is Node.js? So Node.js is basically an open source cross platform that means it will work on different platforms, which is like Windows, Mac, Mac and Unix system. It is basically a JavaScript runtime environment. It is similar to JRE that we have for Java, which used to run the Java, like the code that we write in Java. In the same way, Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment. What is meant by that is whenever we try to write the code using JavaScript or TypeScript, Node.js will help us in executing the code. That means in running the code whenever we try to run the code for JavaScript or TypeScript. So this is also known as one of an engine which executes the JavaScript code or TypeScript code inside or outside of the browser, web browser. Okay. So to work with JavaScript or TypeScript, first the main prerequisite is to we have to install Node.js before starting Playwright. Now, this is first prerequisite. Second is we also need to have one editor where we can write our code. So for JavaScript and TypeScript, we have one of a very good editor, which is editor in the sense IDE, where we'll be writing the code, and that is known as Visual Studio Code. So this is, if you can see this one, this is known as a Visual Studio Code, which we will be again installing in today's session, and we'll see like how do we install Visual Studio Code as well as Node.js. Okay, both of the Node.js and Visual Studio Code are freely available, and we will be able to download it from directly from the Google, which is if you have internet, we'll be able to download Node.js and Visual Studio Code from the Google itself. Okay, so to work with Playwright, there are a couple of prerequisites. First is we have to install Node.js, which will be helpful in terms of running our code, which we'll be writing using either Playwright, either JavaScript or TypeScript. And then we need to have an IDE, which for this particular course we'll be using Visual Studio Code, which again have been developed by Microsoft, and it is very much compatible with JavaScript and TypeScript. Okay, so let's see how do we install Node.js and Visual Studio Code, and later after that we'll also install the Playwright. Okay, so first thing is the first prerequisite is to we have to install Node.js. Okay, and second is an IDE which we'll be using as a Visual Studio Code. Okay, so these two are the things that we require. There is one more which is known as npm, but npm basically stands for Node Packaging Manager, which will basically be managing all the packages or all the code that will be written using the Node.js. So npm will basically manage all those codes. So that is where it is known as Node Packaging Manager. We do not have to install npm. Whenever we install Node.js, npm will automatically be installed along with the Node.js as well. Okay. So let's try to see how do we install Node.js. We have to go to a Google and just type to install we are trying to install Node.js right now. So we can directly go to the Google and search for Node.js download or download Node.js. It will display some of the result and there will be something known as node.js or nodejs.org. It is a main website for the Node.js application. You can directly go to the nodejs.org and go to pre-built installer. Okay, if you go to pre-built installer, you will see some option with Node.js. It will automatically detect your operating system that you are trying to use. Let's say if you are trying to use MacBook, it will automatically detect your system that you are trying to use a MacBook. So it will automatically select. If it is not selecting, then you can choose it over here MacBook, and based on that, it will try to download your Node.js inside your system. So you can click on this. It will generate a executable file. So what is meant by executable file is it will basically generate one tool kind of things where you will say like Node.js setup window will appear over here. Okay, so it is not trying to give me any option because Node.js is already available in my system. Whenever you try to install for the first time Node.js, you will see this particular window will appear. It will give you an option to click on the next button. So you do not have to select anything. You can directly click on next, accept this one, again click on next. You can directly ask them to install it over here itself. By default, it will select in terms of window. It will install in your C program files. And this will be the path where Node.js will be installed, which is C and program files. Then you can, if you want to change, you can change it out from here. Or if you want to keep it as a default, you can directly keep it over here. Then click the next button, again click next button. And if you want to click is, this is not basically required, but if you want to click, it says that automatically install the necessary tools. Along with Node.js, there will be some of the tools also will be installed. So if it is saying, do you want to install it automatically? If you want to keep it, that is not necessary at all. But if you want to keep on check, there will be no harm in that. You can keep it checked, then click on next, and then you can click on install. Add Node.js is already installed in my system, so I'll not click right now. But as soon as you click install, it will install complete Node.js setup inside your system. Okay, and at the end, it will. Okay, let me try to click on install. It will ask you to allow the permission, so you have to click on yes, and after that, it will try to install Node.js. It will take like a couple of seconds to install the complete Node.js, and after that, it will give you an option where it will display as a finish button. You can click on finish, and the Node.js will be installed in your system. I have already installed, so I'll just click on cancel right now, and it have been cancelled. After the complete Node.js setup, you will get a button known as finish. You can click on finish. If everything goes well, you will get the finish button. If there is any kind of issues, it will give you the description of the issues that you are trying to face. But in general, like 99% of the time, it will the installation will be successful. So after the successful installation, you have to verify whether the Node.js have been successfully installed in our system or not. Okay. So to verify that, we basically have to go to the command prompt. If you are using Windows, then go to command prompt. If you are using MacBook, then go to terminal. On the terminal or command prompt, you have to type node hyphen hyphen version. If after clicking this command node hyphen hyphen version, if it is trying to throw you some of the version details, that means the node have been installed in your system properly. If it is throwing node is not recognized as internal or external command, that means node basically have not been installed properly. If any one of you have not installed yet, Now, if you try to check it out with node hyphen hyphen version, you will get an error saying that node is not recognized as internal or external command. Now, if it is successfully installed, then you will get some of the version that it has installed in your system. That means if it is trying to give us the version number, it says that Node.js have been successfully installed in your system. You do not have to set the path in your environment variable or anywhere in the system. You do not have to do anything. Just install the Node.js, and after successful installation, the Node.js will be automatically installed in your global system, which is like environment variable. We do not have to manually set it. Now, earlier I said we also required npm. We have not installed anything related to npm, and I said whenever we install Node.js, npm will automatically be installed along with the Node.js. So now if you try to check whether the npm have been installed or not, we again have to use the same command, which is npm hyphen hyphen version. If it has been successfully installed, then it will give you a version, the npm version that it has installed in your system. If both of the things, which is node hyphen hyphen version and npm hyphen hyphen version, is throwing us or is returning us some of the version details, that means it has been successfully installed in our system and we are ready to go for the next step. Okay. Um, the the next step after the installation of Node.js, the next step is to install an IDE where we'll be writing the code. So in this particular course, we'll try to install Visual Studio Code. So for that also, we'll again go to Google Chrome or whatever the browser you are trying to use. Go to any specific browser and then you can search with Visual Studio Code download or download Visual Studio Code. You will see there will be a website known as code.visualstudio.com. You can go to there. That will basically be a first page itself, or the first response after searching for download. You can click on that, download Visual Studio Code, and based on the operating system that you are trying to use, you can try to download the IDE. If you are working on Windows, then you can click on Windows. If you're working on MacBook, then you can click on Mac, and it will install the operating system based. Whether you are working on Windows 10 or 11, it will try to install a one of a executable file for installing the Visual Studio Code. So if you see this will basically install again one of our executable files. What is meant by executable is it will open one specific window, and again you will have to click on next, and at the end finish. Here it is saying that the setup has detected that it is already running. That means in my system it has already been installed. That is why it is throwing this particular error. In your system, if you are trying to install for the first time, then you will get again a window pop up where you have to click next, and at the end finish. Okay. After that, you will basically get one one particular software which will open, and that will be known as Visual Studio Code. So whenever you try to open for the first time, you will see a welcome screen over here. You will be basically seeing like welcome screen will be available on the page. That means the Visual Studio Code have been installed in your system properly, and we are ready to go ahead with the next step. Okay. So um, so now we are ready to basically install our Playwright, uh, like install our Playwright in the system, and then we'll go ahead with the next step of writing the test case. So before that, we have to install our Playwright. So if you see here, in terms of the prerequisite that we had to install Node.js and install IDE, we have successfully done that, and everything is good to go for the installation of Playwright. Okay, now we'll see like how do we install the Playwright. So first, before starting or before installing any of the Playwright, we have to create a folder, or we have to basically choose a place inside your local system. Where do you want to store the code that we will be writing in terms of the Playwright? So you can select any of the places wherever you want to place it. For now, I'll select in my system, I'll select some other things. I'll just create a folder over here inside any specific place inside our system. And here I'll say it as, let's say, Sept 2024. I'm just trying to give the folder name, and that folder we have to select. So as soon as we click on select folder, for that, what we have to do is we have to click on select folder, or you can also go here and you can click on file and then open folder. So wherever it is, if you have already existing the folder, then you can directly select the folder and click on select folder. Or if you want to create a new folder, then you can right click and create a new folder inside your system. Whatever the new folder that will be created, you have to select, and as soon as you select the folder, it will open in your Visual Studio Code. Okay, and this will be known as whatever the folder name that we have given. Okay, currently we do not have anything over here because we did not start writing any code in the folder, so it will be empty in the initial stage. Now we basically have to go and install the Playwright. We'll see like how do we install Playwright now. So in terms of Visual Studio Code, if it is new for any of the person, then you can directly like you can go ahead and see like what are the different options that we have over here. In general, we'll be most of the time we'll be working with the file as a menu option. So we'll see in the going forward session as well as in the current session. So now we have to basically install Playwright. For that, we have to open terminal inside the Visual Studio Code. So how do we open a terminal? There are two options. One is you can click on this three dot, go to terminal and click on new terminal. So it will open a terminal over here with the already defined path. That means whatever the folder that we have selected over here inside the Visual Studio Code, this will automatically detect the path, and it will this pointer will be pointing us towards the folder that we have selected. Okay, and now we have to install here the Playwright. This is one way where you can go to this, click on this three dot, go to terminals and click on new terminals. Second way is you will see there is some option where on hover you will find it out as no problem. uh, this this in your case will be at the starting itself. You will be able to find it out somewhere here just below the timeline. You will be able to find it out, so you can click on that. It will open it will open this particular tab, and then from there we can go to terminals. Okay, both are the same, both of the option are same. Either you go from here or you can also go from clicking here terminal and new terminal. Okay, now we'll see how do we install Playwright. So to install Playwright, we have one command known as npm init Playwright. Okay, this is one of a command which used to initiate or install the Playwright in our system or project. Okay, so whenever we try to click which is like npm stands for Node Packaging Manager, which used to manage the node like all the applications that have been developed on the node using Node.js. So npm stands for Node Packaging Manager. This particular command means Node Packaging Manager. Init means initiate. What we have to initiate? The installation. So we have to initiate for Playwright. Okay, so we just have to write npm init Playwright, and as soon as we click enter, it will start installation of the Playwright. Okay, if any one of you have already attended our free workshop that we have conducted few days ago, then you people might already be knowing that how do we install. But this is basically a basic or the first session wherever like whenever we start our session. So this used to be a first exercise that we have to do. So I'll have to go from the scratch itself. If you have already were involved in the free Playwright workshop, then you already might be knowing this. But just bear with me for a couple of more minutes. We'll complete the installation and then we'll start with writing the test cases. So here, as soon as we click, as soon as we enter npm init playwright and click on enter, it will start installation of playwright. And at the time of installing the playwright, it will ask us some of the questions, whether you want to select TypeScript or JavaScript as a language. So I have selected over here as a language as JavaScript, and then again click on enter. Then again it will ask you where to put your end-to-end test case. That means it is asking what folder should I create for you to create your test cases. By default, it will say like test. I'll just keep it like this itself, which is test for now. And then you can keep entering for few of the times and it will start installation of the Playwright. We can see it started with package.json and few other files. Okay, after few seconds, as soon as it install, you will see a happy hacking at the end. That means the Playwright installation have been successfully completed. Okay, and after installation, it will also give us some of the command. I'll discuss this like going forward in the sessions. But these commands are very helpful in terms of running our test cases and debugging our test cases. Okay, we'll see that in the later section. So earlier when we opened the folder, we saw it was completely empty. Now, after just entering like npm init playwright, we can see there are different folders have been generated over here, have been placed over here. That means Playwright have been successfully installed in our system and we are ready to work with the Playwright. Now I'll just give the brief about what are these folders consist of, and then we'll move to the next. So here after installation, there are some of the template that Playwright will try to generate or try to place it inside our folder, inside our framework or inside our project. Okay, so first is node modules. Node modules is one of a folder. Inside this, you'll find a lot of options. What are those lot of options are? Basically, whatever at the time of installing Playwright, whatever the tools and technology that it has installed will be placed inside the node modules. So node modules is basically a heart of this project. If you delete node modules, we will not be able to do in terms of writing any code or executing any code. Either we use JavaScript or Playwright or TypeScript. Okay, so node modules is heart of the project for Playwright, where all the Playwright dependencies will be installed over here. You can see like the Playwright have been placed over here, which is at the Playwright. There is a test module available inside Playwright. So all those things have been installed properly. And there are different dependencies for Playwright have been placed inside the node module. So node module is basically consisting of all the libraries it has installed. This test module, as it was asking us like where do you want to where to put your end-to-end test case. So at that time we said like test folder. So it has also created a test, this basically known as folder, and this is a file. So this, wherever you are able to expand it and collapse it, those are known as folders. And wherever you see this particular like ending with .js, those are basically known as a file. Okay, so at the time of installing the Playwright, this Playwright has also installed a module known as a module or a folder known as test. Inside that, it has also automatically created a file which is known as example.spec.js, where it has also given few of the test cases to start writing the test case, to check like how basically we write the test case in terms of Playwright. Okay, it has also created one folder which is known as test-examples, where it has given like 30 odd number of test cases over here, uh, which like they have generated with different combinations of the test cases. Okay. We basically do not require this, so I'll remove this going forward. Then also it has generated one get ignore. I'll discuss this in the later sections. What is the use of get ignore? We can see there is a file known as JSON file, which is package-log.json. We do not have to change anything in this particular file. This is just an information that what are the tools and technology, what are the dependencies that it has installed. Basically Playwright test and the node modules that we have installed till now. So it has also given the details of those files. Inside the package.json file, we can see like what is our project name, what is the version, what is the main folder that we have inside this. So it is saying like index.js, which we will be able to find it out inside node modules, and some of the dependencies that it has installed at the time of installing the Playwright. So it is saying currently we have installed Playwright and Node.js. And then we have one test runner. Playwright.config.js is also known as test runner for Playwright project or framework. Okay, here this is one of a file where we do the configuration for the entire framework or entire Playwright project. Okay, so whatever we write inside this configuration file, this playwright.config.js will be applicable for the complete project. Okay, wherever we write the test case, for all those test case, these configuration file will be applicable. We'll discuss this in detail whenever we start, the real session of the Playwright. But in short, this Playwright config.js file is consisting of few of the objects. This is basically an object that it has created in JavaScript and have stored our a test module. So we see like this is a folder which is like test. Inside this we'll be writing all our test cases. So it says that wherever we write the test, it will automatically take care of, like automatically place that particular folder inside this playwright.config.js. So whenever we run any single test case, at the time of running the test case, before running, like executing our step, it will contact playwright.config.js and will check where are the test case available. So if you see this test directory, test dir is known as test directory. It says that directory that will be recursively scanned for test file. Okay, so whatever the file that we mention over here, it will go and check inside those files or folder and check whether any of the test cases are available to run or not. If it will not be able to find any test case, then it will give you an error saying that no test available. If there are few of the test case, if we would have written like some of the test case at the time of running the test cases, then it will run that particular or that specific test cases. Fully parallel is one of a keyword again, which says that if we define this basically Playwright run test in a parallel mode. Playwright basically run the test in automatically by default in a parallel mode. So if we just say like fully parallel as a true, at that point of time, Playwright will run our test case in a parallel mode. If we say it as a false, then it will run in a sequential mode. Okay, and then there are few other things which is for whenever our test case get failed, do we have to retry or not, how many instances that we want to create, that means how many test case we want to run at a time. Those value we can define it over here. What kind of report that we are generating is going inside a reporter, and then inside use we have to use few of the things that I'll again discuss in the later sections. And we see this project, right? This basically says that we have to configure the browsers that we want to use. So by default we see Playwright has automatically given, which is like Chromium, which is a Chrome, Firefox, Safari browser. Safari browser in Playwright is known as WebKit. You can see the name as Safari. It also have given mobile Chrome. That means uh, a mobile like Android version of like mobile browser for the Android, mobile browser for iPhone, which is Safari, and then Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome. Okay, so these are the things that will be placed inside the configuration file. We'll see it again in details whenever we start our session for Playwright.
Sir,
Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
When you created a folder in a very first thing, what was the default location of that folder?
So I've
The
given
default.
some. I had selected some of the folders. I've gone to the documents, and inside that, I selected some of the folders.
No, I mean, sir, when you created from Visual Studio.
Hmm.
So
Right. So see,
when you
I'll show
first
you
install your,
once
yeah,
again. So this is the window. For the first time, you will see like this option. Okay,
yeah.
where it will ask you to open a folder. Okay,
Uh,
so you have to click on open folder, and you can go to any of the options or wherever you want to store inside your local system. You can select any place, create a new folder, and that folder you can select by clicking on select folder.
Is there an
okay,
option to
sir.
delete the folder or change the folder?
You should be able to do that.
So there is an option for create add a folder on the
Right,
thing.
right.
It
Okay.
is taking me
So let's say
directly to Jenkins folder. So that's why.
no, so you have to select inside your local system. See, it is whenever I click on open folder, it will take you to some of the location inside your folder, and it will also give you some of the options to select. Okay, so I am trying to use window 11. In terms of window 10, you might be seeing some of the options over here with a small window kind of. Okay,
Yeah,
from
okay.
that you have to either move to the desktop or downloads or documents, wherever you want to go.
Okay.
You can go
Okay, I
there,
got it, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
and then go to that place and right click. Okay, right click, and then it will give you an option to create a new folder. You can see a new, and then go to the folder, and it will ask you to give the name of the folder. Okay, let's say if you do not want to create and you want to delete this, you can again right click on that, and you can directly delete that particular folder as well. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question from anyone else? I believe like someone was trying to ask some questions. But do not worry, this the same thing will cover whenever we start Playwright session again. So if you are unable to install it out right now, do not worry for that. We'll again cover the same things at the time of going through with the Playwright session.
So, Pawan, I have one question. Oh, sorry, Praveen.
Yes.
So could you please go to the example, whatever the example we have a test cases? Do you think if we want to add 2, 3 more use cases, we should put it here, or we should need to create a separate file for JS?
So it depends. It depends. So what in general in the real time happen is we'll follow a set of framework, right? So let's say if we are going to use page object model, at that point of time for one particular page, if we have like 100 test cases, then we have to put inside one particular file for one page. For the another page, we again have to create new files, new .js file. So in terms of practice, it again depends. Either you can use one particular single file, or you can use multiple files as well. We will generally be using multiple files, multiple .js file in the real time as well as in terms of practice.
So suppose like
But
we have a flow, right? So suppose login or launching homepage, login, log out, or something search. All those use cases should be in single flow, or it should be in different. Every page should be different
right,
file.
right. So in terms of framework, every page should be a different file.
Okay.
Okay. There will be one test case where we'll be checking for end-to-end test case. That means from launching the URL, logging into the application. Let's say if you're working on e-commerce website, then go to dashboard, search for a product, select a product, add to cart, go to the checkout, and then at the end, place the order and come out of the, like, log out from the application. So this will be one of a end-to-end scenario, and that particular scenario will be writing inside one single file. But if we are working on different pages, then we have to create different files for each and every pages that we will be working.
So single Chrome browser instance will execute all the use cases in same instance, or it will going to create a different instance? Chrome browser, I'm talking about.
Right. So the Chrome will be installed for each and every test cases,
Oh, okay.
not for a single file, but for each and every test cases. See, in general, what happen is every test case have to be independent from each other. That is called as a good test case. So for example, let's say if you have to log in into the application, that should not depend on the registration part. Registration will be like checking of the registration of the user will be again different test cases. Login into the application should be a different test case. Searching for a product inside an e-commerce website should be another test cases, and so on. I'm just trying to mention few of the test cases. So in general, the test cases are considered to be a good test case if those are not dependent on other test cases. So for example, basically if you see two test case over here, to run these two test cases, the web browser, whatever the browser that we use, that browser will launch 2 times, not only one single time. This will launch for 2 times. For each and every test case that will write, let's say if you have 100 test case, then the browser will launch for 100 times. Okay. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, but my like a real user will always use single Chrome browser, right? And keep doing all the activities. So
No,
if no,
no,
okay.
no. In the real time also, you will see like for each and every test case, there will be a different uh, Chrome browser will launch if you are working on Chrome. So for each and every individual test case, the URL have to be launched each and every time. That means the browser have to be launched each and every time.
But it will create more lines to the code and put pressure on the system if you're opening 100 browsers, isn't it?
Sorry, I
Yes,
didn't get your question.
So when you're saying that every time system will open a new browser,
Mhm.
so where is the flow for test cases then? Say example, if I'm opening Google Chrome for Amazon.com and I'm adding things to my bucket and checkout, and so is it one browser will do all the things, or it's going to open different browser? I don't understand that process.
Right. So let's see, this is one of application. Okay. And this application says that this is one of a e-commerce application for in terms of practicing. And we have to log in into the application, then select some of the product, go to the checkout, which is cart, go to the cart, go to the checkout, select some of the country. Let's say I'm selecting as India. Let's say anything. Then click on place order. This is one flow. This is only one test case that we have executed. This is known as end to end. Click on sign out and come out of the loop. This is known as end to end test case. This is one particular test case. But in general, whenever we will be working in terms of the real time scenarios and real time test cases, for this particular itself, we'll have to write 3-4 test cases to check whether with the valid login it is working or not, with invalid login whether it is working or not. So let's say example I'm talking about. If you launch your Google Chrome or the URL or the application once, okay, now we have different scenario to test it out. For you have one scenario which is checking for valid user, whether the credential that we have given is valid. If it is valid, then it will take us to the dashboard, right? And there again we'll have to do some kind of validation. Now if you're saying that if we have to launch one time only the browser, let's say example, if I am trying a scenario where I have to check by providing the invalid username, and I want to check whether it is throwing us an error or not. So it is saying incorrect email or password. This test case has been successfully passed, that it is throwing an error. Now if you want to execute again the test case saying you have to select a product on the dashboard, this test case itself have been failed over here. Now how will you reach to the dashboard? How will you reach to the dashboard? That's where I was saying each and every test case will be independent of other test cases. So this will be one test case for this particular scenario to check whether the invalid credential is throwing us an error or not. This will be one particular test case. Now for this, Chrome browser will launch and will fill like username and password, and then we'll try to check whether it is throwing us an error or not. Now to check with the valid credential, we again have to launch one more browser, open the application, and then fill it out the correct details that we have to fill it. And then again, that will be one particular scenario. After that also, we'll have to check whether the forgot password is working or not, whether the register click is taking us back to the register page or not. So all those test cases will be independent of each other, independent of one another. Okay, that's where I said for each and every test cases, it will launch different browsers at like whenever it start executing them. For example, for this one, it will try to launch one browser. For this one again, it will try to launch the same Chrome browser, but for the very next time. Again, if you have 10 more test cases, for that 10 more test cases, again 10 different pages will be launched in the Chrome browser. Okay.
All those
Now,
should
as
be
you're
sequential, right? This will be sequential, not parallel.
no, as I discussed earlier, if we say fully parallel equals to true, then it will be a parallel. If you say like false, then it will be a sequential.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So one thing that we do not have to worry over here is, let's say if it is launching 20 times browser at a parallel, we do not have to take care of the system storage, because in the real time, our test case will not run in our local system. Basically, it will run on any of the cloud, either Jenkins or GitHub Actions or somewhere else. Okay, so storage system will be taken care by the DevOps team inside the organization. Second thing is, all the test cases, let's say if you have 1,000 test cases inside our project or framework, we do not have to run all those 1,000 test cases inside our local system. It will be either taken care by the Jenkins or GitHub Actions or some other cloud version, either AWS, Azure, Microsoft Azure, or GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform. Okay. I'll just show you two things over here. Just I'll try to run this particular file, and then we'll see how it is running. So it has given one command over here after installing. It is saying that npx playwright test. Whenever we try to write this particular command, we suggest where it is. So we'll go to the starting and it says that run the complete test. If you want to run the complete test available inside your framework, we have to use a command known as npx playwright test. I'll explain in our later sections going forward. For now, I'll just comment this particular test examples files. I'll just run this file, which I'll be giving a command known as npx playwright test. As soon as I hit, here we have given, here it by default have given 3 different browser, which is Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. We have also placed it something known as fully parallel equals to true. Now let's see what happens whenever we try to run this. See, it is running, it is trying to open 6 different test case at one time. Basically, Playwright by default runs in headless mode. I'll interrupt the test case for now and will show you in the headed mode as well. So to run the test case in headed mode, we just have to give --headed. So all the test case, we have only only two test case available, which we are trying to run on three different browsers. Okay, why it is not running? Let me give it over here. So we can place it over here as headless as false. We have to place it inside the Firefox as well, and for the Safari as well, we are saying open it in headed mode. So you see, if different types of browsers are opened. We see this one is another one. This is Safari browser, and then few of the test cases have already been completed. So you see, like there were six different, like all the three different browser have been opened for the six different test case. What is meant by six different test cases? We basically have two test cases available inside this, and that running on the three different browser, which will be considered as a six test case. I'll probably comment the two other and will try to run on only one particular, which is on the Chrome, which is Chromium over here. We'll try to run this particular file, and now we'll see it will just run two like same browser. It is saying two test case using two workers. So we can see like two different browsers have been launched for two different test cases. Did you see that? Like it was so quick, like Playwright used to be so quick, we might not observe, but if you could have seen that there were two browser launches for the two different test cases. Okay. So does it answer your question now, or it still have any confusion?
Yeah, I got
I
it.
got
Thank
my
you.
answer.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
When did you turn
Uh,
on like, head on that time? Firefox, Chrome, all our browser it was available to see it. I just saw Chrome only.
right. For now, I have commented Firefox and Safari.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so I'll show you. See, we are currently. This is one more advantage of the Playwright, where we are currently working in Windows operating system, but we should be able to run our test case in Safari as well. I've just given a Safari browser over here, which used to be a native browser for MacBook. And let's try to run the test case again. You will see like a Safari browser will launch on the. I do not have Safari browser available inside my system. Okay, so you see this Safari browser have been launched over here. So this is Safari Playwright WebKit. Okay, so did you see like two different browsers for the Safari have been opened for different test cases? So if we have n number of test cases, then to run all the n number of test cases, we have to basically launch n times the applications in the browser.
So Praveen,
Okay,
one more quick
yes,
question. So regarding like a one flow means one time, right? If we want to repeat the like 100 times or 10 times, same use cases, whatever the test case, right? Is it possible
correct.
like a suppose
Mhm.
10-minute duration?
So you are saying that you just want to repeat the same test cases multiple
Right.
times.
Yes, correct.
That is also possible. That is also possible, and we'll show you in the real time
Okay,
whenever we have to do. So see, what happens is sometimes we do a data-driven testing, right?
correct.
The data-driven testing, what says is the same test case will run for multiple times, right?
Exactly.
So
Yep.
at that point of time, we'll see that in this that those kind of things are considered in the courses as well. So all those things will be taken care of. We'll see like the same test case will run for multiple times. We will be able to write hundreds time as well the same particular test cases.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Any other question for now? from anyone?
Sorry,
Okay.
I'm installing the Visual Code for the first time. I'm having errors in installing it. So
Mhm.
would you be able to help with that?
Definitely. I should be able to help you. Can we connect just after our session?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you can stay on the same link. I'll connect with
Yeah.
you after the session.
Thank you very much.
No worries. So see, I wanted to discuss like one particular test case to write for some of the form filling test cases. But I see like we are past 1 minute. So what I'll do is I'll quickly take a couple of more minutes and try to explain how do we write the test case as it has already given some of the examples. So whenever we have to write the test case using Playwright, we have to first basically import some of the module. So what is meant by import and why do we have to import is, see, if you have worked on any tools and technology, let's say if you have worked on Java, you have used as a practice or in terms of real time as well. So whenever we have to work with an array, we basically have to import java.utils.io. Why are we trying to import that is, whenever we import that particular jar, basically what we are trying to import is a jar or a package, right? That jar or package will consist of different classes, and different classes will consist of different method. So to use the classes and method available inside a package or a jar, we basically import that particular package or jar. So here, in terms of writing the test case, it says that we first have to import the Playwright test module. What is available inside this Playwright test module is, we will see a different options will be available. One is to write, it will have an option which is known as a test. This will be one of a function inside a Playwright to start writing the test case. So we'll be writing the test in the Playwright using test function. I'll explain you in details in the next session, like what it consists of, what it will be taking, and so on. But whenever we have to start writing the test case, we basically have to first import the test module, and this test module will be available inside node modules. Inside the Playwright, you will see one test module, and if you go inside index.js for Playwright, you will see some of the options will be available over here, which is like in uh, index.ms, where it says that it is trying to export the Playwright complete module of the Playwright, and inside that Playwright, whatever the classes are available, it will automatically try to import. So there will be a lot of tests, and there will be a lot of module will be available inside the test module. This is a basic test module where it says that test.mjs. We do not have to worry for like how it is working and all. But when I say like we have to, or when we say like we have to import first is, which is a test module inside a file, we basically will be importing this particular class, and this class will be having a browser, like different browser available, a request which is used for API automation, like API testing. Request is again one of a function available inside this particular class. Then there is something known as expect function, which will be used for assertion. And there is one more thing known as test available on the Playwright. This test function is basically used to write the test case in the Playwright. So whenever we have to write test case, or we have to start writing the test case, we have to take the help of test function in terms of Playwright. And uh, inside this, whatever the things are available, I'll just try to discuss in the next session. Okay. Any question for now from anyone? Um,
So
Anything
how
that you
can
want
we
to understand?
uninstall and install the Visual Studio again, like fresh?
You can directly delete the folder wherever you have Visual Studio Code available. So for example, let's say if you have installed it inside anywhere, let's say this one, you can you can go here, like right click on the Visual Studio Code and click on uninstall.
Okay.
Okay. And then again, if you have to install, you have to follow the same thing that we discussed in the session.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, sir.
No worries. Um, any other questions from anyone? Okay. So if nothing else, then we'll continue in the next session with some other topics that we'll be checking. How do we write the Playwright test? We are
Praveen, I will
still
be
in.
staying on for installation.
Yes, yes, yes. You can stay back over here. I'll
Thank
discuss
you.
with you.
Yeah.
Uh, so we are still in the demo session itself. Once we start the real session, the first session will start with the JavaScript. So we'll take a couple of days times to understand what is JavaScript and so on. And once we complete the JavaScript, then only we'll be moving to the Playwright. Okay. So that's it for the session today. Thank you once again for joining. And if no questions, then you can feel free to drop. Okay. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, will you share recording?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank
We'll be
you.
sharing that as well. Yeah. Thanks. Others can feel free to drop. Jitami, you can stay back and
Yeah.
then you can start sharing your screen. I'll check it out. What
Yes.
are the, yeah.
Yes. Did you stop the recording?